Hello, everyone, and welcome to another fantastic episode of Was That in Good Taste presents Behind the Bar. I'm going to be one of your hosts, and tonight, for our Halloweenified episode, I'm the human version of Shrek from Shrek 2 after he drinks the love potion from the Fairy Godmother's Potions Incorporated. And also, my name is Chandler Phillips, and with me is a very special guest tonight. Introduce yourself.
I'm Bullet Club Stitch.
He's Bullet Club Stitch.
I'm here to cheat, steal, and eat you alive.
Switchblade Stitch.
Switchblade Switch White.
Switchblade Stitch White.
How you
Actually,
doing? Also
wait.
known as James, also known as Psych, also known as Bulbasaur.
Who's that Pokemon? It's it's Bulbous Club.
It's like Sting.
When he did the thing where he had the mask on his face, under this face.
Psych. It's too hot. I was gonna keep it on longer.
I'm surprised you made it that long.
Oh my god.
Because I know only one of those masks has a breathing hole.
Oh my god.
That was impressive.
It was definitely impressive. You know what else is impressive? Like, commenting, and subscribing.
It's the most impressive thing you can do to impress us. And we're not easy to impress. But I am impressed with this little cocktail that we concocted on this fine celebration. Again, this is the Halloweenified episode of Behind the Bar. And Behind the Bar gets spooky this time of year.
I love poltergeists. Blame it on poltergeists and ghosts.
It's them poltergeists.
Just out here doing stuff.
They're just
making a mess.
Now, James, can you tell me what is the difference between a ghoul and a ghost?
A ghoul, a geist, and a ghost? Aren't ghouls spirits like alive in bodies? All right, isn't that what those are? Ghosts are non-corporeal.
I'm deferring to you as being the
Those
expert
are
in
ghouls.
all things spooky and occult.
All things spooky, spicy, and supernatural. Geists. What if it's a ghoul? Is like a zombie, but zombies, they don't like being called that. Okay.
A ghoul is like a zombie, but with the supernatural element of having a soul.
Yes, and
like
then
kind of animating a corpse.
I mean that's also a zombie.
Well, zombies don't necessarily have souls. They're just kind of a corpse that's like being
That is
programmed.
propaganda. That's what they want you to think. First of all, how if it gets up?
Because you have to die
have family.
to be a zombie.
Okay, you have to die to be a ghoul.
Right, but like well, okay, you got me there.
This
All
is
right,
this is ghoul. This is racism against ghouls.
Wow.
This is ghoul erasure.
You know, it's not cool to make fun of ghouls. So you better say in schools. Otherwise, you'll be drools.
The more you know. What are we drinking today, Chandler?
We have a pretty wicked cocktail, and
Wicked. No one mourns the wicked.
No one mourns the wicked. We got a pretty fun cocktail, and it's not anything that's like super out of the ordinary, but I want to take a little credit because I did kind of like gather a bunch of little pieces of stuff that we've learned here and there and other kind of cocktails, and I've kind of piecemealed this like this just body parts from other cocktails, and I've stitched it together to create this otherworldly, divine thing. And you, as
That's
the
lightning, thunder, rain.
as the Igor to my Frankenstein here, really put it all together. And I was just the mad scientist to believe that we could do it. And you flipped the switch.
It rises from the ashes, from the bottom of discarded. That sounds disgusting. Of clean, but cast aside, unloved shakers. It's the Frankensour.
The Frankenstein.
The Frankensour. From France. And where's the wine from again?
It's Tempranillo, so it's Spain.
France. from Spain, assembled in America. This fearsome cocktail is made of only the most delicious of ingredients:
In elixirs,
absinthe,
potions,
simple syrup.
tinctures.
What-
It'll have you shaking with anticipation.
patient. Oh God! Every time I've gotten wine, a white wine float,
A red
wine float.
foam.
but it's a right because there's a little bit of a float, and topped with a Fashad's red wine float, like brains.
Like brains spilling out of a cadaver, dripping onto the floor with bits of cerebellum
That's hot.
and frontal lobes. So the inspiration for this cocktail came courtesy of just recently I'd gone with some friends to Bar 619 in the Lower East Side on, I think, East Broadway. Cool bar. Check it out if you're in the area. They had one of their specialty cocktails was a bloody gargoyle, and this was absinthe lemon with a red wine float. Delicious. Loved what I had. Thought, how can we make this one spookier and also
Ooh,
just a tad bit more mixology-y?
fancy for no reason, but actually,
I feel like there's a lot of good reason in this. For one, the textural difference. You had said there was
in
actually
a previous life.
in a previous life that there's a temperatural difference between the two things, thus enabling a more consistent and persistent separation of the float to the body of the beverage. The body features. You want to just run through the
I'll run through this real quick.
Yeah,
So,
just
it is an absinthe sour. Again, lemon juice, absinthe, simple syrup, shaken, right? But shaken to be very, very cold. This is important because the room temperature red wine with some Fashad's bitters in it, shaken vigorously with either like a free foam or an egg white or anything that you would use to froth or foam a thing. What you end up with is it's texturally so interesting. The majority of the drink is cool, it's cold, it's not warm at all, but the little bit of room temperature red wine sitting on the top, it's not going to go in, it's denser because there's more particulates. Of course, there's like great particulates, but also the bottom part, it's cold to keep it from sneaking into the bottom. So that's a little cooler, but then the foam is absolutely room temperature. So what
It's
you're
so
getting,
airy.
you're getting, it's a little sweet, a little tart, a little licoricey. Then the wine is a little bold. The texture of the foam on the end, it's like tart. It's floral, which is really the difference between the Fashad's bitters. If you're not sure, and the Angasora bitters is that the Angasora bitters is an old style, bitters from the Caribbean, whereas Fashad's is from New Orleans. It's normally used inside of Sazerac, right? It's the Sazerac bitters. Something about this particular combination, I think, actually kind of makes it an all year round kind of. I like this a lot.
So I just kind of dipped my tongue in just the foam, and I gotta say that's an interesting sensation. It's so tart, and there's also like the tannins in there. So it's like, how is something this light and airy also got body to it? It's like,
Look at that body.
Have you ever met an air sign with like an earth moon? It's kind of insane. I am in love right now. Watch out, you Aquarii with a Capricorn moon looking at you.
Wow, this is great.
But just the intense aromatics of that Tempranillo, because it's not like a super heavy red, but it's got just enough of that earthy herbaceousness. It's just such a happy meeting because we were playing around with a couple different, right? We had also a dark Malbec that we thought, maybe
I think that's too dry. I think that's a little too Something about that.
It's a little too stone fruity.
It is.
I feel like this has a little bit more like Bing cherry kind of tartness that kind of helps offset the intense flavors of the absinthe underneath.
Can I throw some stuff at you? Can I throw something at you?
I would love for you to throw something at me.
Feel like this is delicious like this.
I just want someone to hit me so hard.
I think there are varieties of this that would work beautifully in an all year round menu. White wine, right?
As the float?
As the float. Or port.
Okay.
Right.
A port.
So
I think typically when you see a
by the way, when I say
float,
white wine, I'm thinking Riesling, like a Riesling foam, something pretty sweet to make it desserty.
Okay.
For like a summer version.
I worry that a white wine will not foam the way we expect it to. But I guess if you have like a foaming agent,
we're using a foaming agent to begin with. You know what I mean?
Imagine if we used like an industry grade kind of frothing foamer, kind of like if we did the thing where it's like, oh, we put fucking gelatin and then put it in a frother and made like meringue or some shit out of it. And
I mean, this stuff, they use this. We just didn't introduce enough air into it. You know what I mean?
How do you think we could improve upon this?
I mean, the foam, if I found the whisking wand to my frother thing, that would have whipped in enough air and it would have made it much lighter and would have made it much longer. And then we could have scooped it.
Yeah.
Which would have been nice, but I actually don't like that. I think the dense foam is important. It needs to be a little creamy. It's about textural difference, right? You don't just want it to be super airy that it blows away. You want it to be dense. You want to be able to pick your finger in it, right? And when you scoop it up, this is like falling apart, but you want it to be solid. You want the bubbles to be nice and dense so that it's not falling off your finger. And look, you don't really want it to fly away. A little poof, but you don't want it to like float away.
I'm curious because a lot of other recipes that I've looked up that use a red wine float, like a New York sour, tend to go for like a claret or something that's a little bit more Cab Sav. You know what I mean?
I could see that. Yeah.
And something that's just got a bit more body. I'm curious if we were to have gone with maybe like a Crianza or something. I think a Crianza is also a Tempranillo. I don't know. I don't know Spanish wines as well as I'm pretending to. So, you know what? You can call me on it. I do think that this is a fantastic blend of flavors. The absinthe that we chose too, very well balanced. It's not too like anisette. It balances so well with the lemon, almost in like a. Like it kind of makes me think of like the type of cough drops that would be in an elderly's
clarets.
candy.
Clarets, like the violet and the rose.
Yeah.
I think the facade is like pretty floral. I mean, can I throw something to you or at you? I really do imagine this. A peachy Riesling. Like a nice foam.
Yeah.
A little less, because for the summer, a little less absinthe, a little sweeter. Or maybe actually keep it, because I feel like I'm overcompensating.
I like a heavy absinthe.
I think I'm overcompensating because we don't have a peachy Riesling. Because I feel like a peachy kind of Riesling, that frothed, would complement this perfectly. You know what I mean? And I think the color, where it's like it's gonna have artificial color, whatever the hell, it's gonna look a little different than the yellow, but just slightly. A very delicate kind of summer version, because I feel like this is very winter.
Would you do an anisette what would you sub for
No,
absinthe?
I think I'm still keep the
an
absinthe. Yeah. I just think that this has the taste and profile of a winter bev. I know that it's cool, but it's not cold, right? Because there's not ice in it. It was shaken so that it's chilled, but it's not ice cold. This would work in the summer.
Yeah.
But I think the red wine float is winter. It reads as winter to me.
Okay. I see where you're going with it. I more so agree when you were like it's a year-round kind of cocktail because red wine's for everyone. And the airiness and the fluffiness of that float, of that foam mixed with it's just I would be happy to have a drink like this at any time, but especially during this the closest and when the closest to Samhain, when the veil between our world and the ethereal is at its thinnest.
Look at this guy talking about Samhain. Look at this guy.
Yeah.
Look at the darksome night, shining moon. Hearken to the witch's rune, east and south, west and north. Here come, I call thee forth by all the powers of land and sea. I can't.
Amen.
So mote it be.
What else we got to talk about this? Like,
what? I have a lot to say. No, there's a few things.
So many. Like,
no, there's a little
we're
bit
gushing over this.
How much would this cost in your bar?
In my bar? Ooh, I think I would want to get like one of those like actual like the whipped cream kind of canister things and have like just a bunch of like just red wine whip on deck. So that way you could
every time that you make it without the foaming agent, you're gonna, even if it's inside of the canister,
it would still have the foaming agent in the canister.
It'll still be kind of watery if you let it sit, and you're gonna have to use chargers again.
Right.
Which is why they don't usually.
Well, and that's why I trust my hypothetical staff enough to know that they would properly dispose of any like leftover nitrous that is in the canister, so that none of the canisters go to waste. You know,
so you think that maybe, I mean, if it's an expensive cocktail, then making the foam per 2 drinks, 2 to 3 drinks at once with the one canister, maybe.
Yeah, and then whatever you don't use, you can just kind of and have a good time at work.
I don't think no.
James, whippets are cool again. Okay, haven't you seen Galaxy Gas? Whippets.
You've had some of that today, huh? Galaxy Glass.
I have not
today.
No, I've been seeing this on the TikToks. The kids are into it, and
the kids are into it.
The kids are into, but they don't know. Okay, here's my problem with Galaxy Gas is that it's already in the like canister that you can just like knock a hit off of, and like they don't know about like having to crack it.
You can't talk anymore about that because you cannot talk about that. That'll definitely get you can't. That is no.
That's a no-go? Okay.
That's a no-go. You cannot, teach children how to properly do whippets.
I'm not talking to children. Are children watching a cocktail?
No, they shouldn't be. But if they were, then they would know that we would say things like, wait until you're 21 and older to drink this legal thing, and not, here's this thing that you do illegally.
Look, I know kids are going to be going to Fish concerts well before they're
think kids go to, you got kids that are deadheads listening. They're just sitting there. You know what? Some 16-year-old is drinking a cocktail right now. They're drinking an old fashioned. It's like, yeah.
He's like, this is damn delicious. Good thing I used Demerara sugar because the guys that was that in good taste present behind the bar told me that Demerara sugar is the best kind of sugar to use for an old fashioned, especially with a high rye whiskey.
Oh God, it's so good.
But I digress. You had said I love the name that it's a Frankensour. Fantastic. Love it.
That's the seasonal name. Maybe not the real cocktail name.
When it was in my like creative locker that I call my brain.
Look at Sherlock over here.
I was trying to think.
Not a room though. It's like a small, like a post office locker. He's like one by one.
It's like a high school gym locker where like it's not like the big one that you can put jackets and backpacks in.
You actually can't leave anything in there.
Yeah, especially not like your lunch. Otherwise, ants will get to it. Do you remember the show Ugly Americans?
I do. Of course, I remember that weird show.
The character Randall, who's the roommate, who is a zombie. That was kind of like the visual I wanted to conjure with this cocktail. I wanted to think of like I wanted you to look at this cocktail and be like, hey, remember that show that was on like over 10 years ago that only had like 2 seasons, but also like definitely started the succubus fantasy for me? That is what this cocktail kind of reminds me of.
About your child wet dreams? What?
Listen, I never had any wet dreams as a child.
It's like, oh man, you ever see Ugly
They
Americans?
were always chunky and
God.
I think that's why I still simp for Karlach in Baldur's Gate.
No, but Karlach is hot.
Yeah, dude.
Karlach is hot.
Are you
and
gonna tell
beefy.
me that like I think it's like Cassie or something is the name of the succubus in
Here's
Ugly
the thing.
Americans?
Here's the thing.
I can look it up
Karlach,
right now.
Karlach needs your help. Karlach is full of fire. Karlach is bursting at the seams of passion. And just needs you to fix her.
God, that's Callie. That's the name of the.
Oh man.
But it's the same thing because it's still like Comedy Central in the early 2000s, and so like the female lead is there only to serve the wants and desires, begrudgingly, of course, of the just normal human male protagonist who's just like, I'm just a guy, and then she's like, not if I have anything to say about it, and then they bone.
I just remembered, and this is like mildly related to this. What's the name of that goddamn cartoon? It was a parody of The Surreal Life.
The parody of The Surreal Life.
And it
that
had
was a cartoon. Oh,
like,
Drawn Together.
Drawn Together with Ling Ling. And
Yeah.
that show, I'll be honest, I used to love that show. And that show, I just saw people on TikTok have discovered it. And
no.
I cannot
Oh, no.
I cannot excuse in any form or fashion my feelings about that show. Because Ling Ling is a racist, like Japanese caricature. They had a Betty Boop. What did the commercial say? She's like a 80s comics. She's like an 80s comic bombshell, but she's fat.
That's what the ad said?
Yeah, because it was being irreverent.
Yeah.
The princess is a racist.
I mean, that one's pretty
Just-
on the nose.
God.
You're meaning to tell me that Sleeping Beauty didn't have some like really hot takes about like the peasantry?
They're being really weird. Let them eat apples.
Ooh. That's some harsh words coming from Snow White.
Coming from Snow White. Did you see the new Snow White?
They made a new one? Which
It's
one?
coming out.
I remember The Huntsman.
And people are upset, I guess. Snow White has a lot of white supremacist actually like ideology inside of it. I never really realized if you actually like think about it. And so they're making a new Snow White from Disney's live action, and they have to change the reason why her name is Snow White.
It's not due to her alabaster skin.
It's not due to her skin being as white as snow. I think Snow White may be black. I don't know. If she is, that would explain why being so upset about it. I don't know. I don't care. People on the internet are like mad because it's woke or something. I assume when people say that something's woke, it's because she's black now.
If you could make Snow White any race.
Brandy was Snow White. No, Cinderella.
Yeah.
Black Cinderella worked.
Nope, I'm gonna leave that one alone. Black Cinderella works because
it was Brandy?
No, because like the whole first part of the movie, she's like kind of like not being treated as a person.
That's actually really because
like the whole first part of Cinderella is like.
So you're saying in a fictional universe that a girl named Snow White can't be black?
I think she should, and Snow White she should.
So you believe in identity politics? You think that she should be? Yeah, I'm one of those blacks.
Yeah,
I love
But I also think that all of the 7 helpers
Don't even get me started with that.
should be.
Don't even get me started with that. Oh, they're all CGI.
What? No. That I'm not okay with.
Oh, God, they could not get any. Literally, you know what? And then they put Hugh Grant and they made him the sole Oompa Loompa in the Timothy Chalamet Wonka.
Yeah.
Oh God! You know what? I follow some creators who are actors who are little people, and they talk about this. This is like really important stuff. They talk about it, and you know what? I actually like that there are people who talk about this stuff because
Someone's got to.
because somebody's got to. Okay, somebody has to, and I'll just say that I think that if Snow White had one of these, she would also be talking about cartoons from the 80s and 90s.
I think if Snow White had one of these, she wouldn't have gotten lost in the woods in the first place.
I think that if Snow White had one of these, she'd cuddle up with The Claiming of Sleeping Beauty, which is written under an Anne Rice pseudonym where it's kinky.
Oh.
And it's like she is passed out. At the whole beginning's like normal, but then the prince goes to her, and then from that point forward, it's like because she's a prude when she wakes up, so he makes her walk around unclothed.
Oh God.
On a leash.
Oh God.
Woo! I think I might have had way too many of these.
You know, I'm a big fan of Frankenstein type lores. And recently I saw the movie on an airplane, Lisa Frankenstein. And
Lisa Frankenstein, yeah.
And there's been like so many, you know, parodies, crossovers, etc. What do you think would be your favorite, like, if you were to do a take on Frankenstein? What direction would you want to take it in? Because there's
and a Sally from Nightmare Before Christmas. I love the doll idea.
Oh.
You know what I mean? I think that when you're like taking people, it's like a little macabre, right? And it's like a little. I like the idea of like the living doll.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like pieced together from different bits. You know, like falling apart. Like, you know. And I like the storyline. I think Sally like comes into her own.
She really does. We love to see it. Thanks for joining us.
I can't even.
This has been a fantastic Behind the Bar presented by Was That in Good Taste.
Woo. Oh my God. I think definitely after having a few of these, 2 musics.
We didn't even mention that the absinthe was like 110 proof.
Oh my, you know what?
That's kind of wild. And again, you know, the mother of invention is repetition. And that mother fucked us up.
Oh my God. That's crazy.
Isn't it?
That's crazy. You know what's crazier? The fact that 60% of you aren't subscribed. So please make sure that you do it. Make sure that you comment below. And
this guy and his negative. 40 of y'all are subscribed. 40% of y'all. That's awesome. I'm so happy for you. You guys are getting like so much good regular content and all of these cool ass cocktails that we're coming up with just for you. Blessings.
Okay, stop. You're buttering them up. My name is James Beery.
I've been Chandler Phillips.
And something. Drink responsibly. Don't drive.
And if you're gonna do science, don't do it on an empty stomach.
What the fuck is wrong with this guy?